Okay, to find the circumcenter of a triangle, we're going to start by just drawing this regular triangle we've been using, and we have all of the vertices that we're going to label into our picture. Now, it doesn't matter what your triangle looks like, just make sure that you label your vertices. They don't have to be in the correct spot or anything like that, as I mentioned before. So the circumcenter is the intersection of the perpendicular bisectors. So we're going to get the equation of two perpendicular bisectors and then find where they intersect. So first we're going to do the perpendicular bisector of, AB, which means we first need to find the midpoint of AB. So the midpoint of AB, using your midpoint formula, will get you x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So 0, 0 plus 12 divided by 2, and 0 plus 6 divided by 2, which will give us a midpoint of 6, 3. So that's going to be the midpoint that we're using, and then we also need to get the slope of AB, so we can find the perpendicular slope to that. So the slope of AB, we can use our formula again, so it's going to be y2 minus y1, which is 6 minus 0, over 12 minus 0. And that will give us 1/2, and we need the perpendicular slope of that, because this segment, which is our perpendicular bisector, has the opposite reciprocal. So that slope, the opposite reciprocal, is going to be -2. So now we're going to get the equation using our midpoint and our perpendicular slope. So that's going to be, we're going to plug it into y equals mx plus b, and you are going to get 3 equals -2 times 6 plus b, which means that b equals 15. So your final equation for this perpendicular bisector is going to be y equals -2x plus 15. Now we only need to find one more, so let's do for the perpendicular bisector of BC. So that means we need to find, we're trying to find this thing right here. So we need to find the midpoint of BC first. So that midpoint is right here, and we can find that by doing our formula again, which is going to be 6 plus 12 divided by 2. And 6 plus 12 divided by 2. So we should get the same thing for our x and our y. And it looks like 6 plus 12 is 18 divided by 2. We should get, we'll put it down here, we should get 9, 9. That is our midpoint. Now we need to get the slope of BC so we can find the perpendicular slope for our perpendicular bisector. So the slope of BC is going to be y2 minus y1, so we can do 6 minus 12 over x2 minus x1, so 12 minus 6, which should give us -6 over 6, which should give us -1. Now we were worried about the perpendicular slope, and the opposite reciprocal of -1 is just 1. So when we plug in our points and our slope to y equals mx plus b, you're going to get 9 equals 1 times 9 plus b, and you subtract 9 from both sides, which means that b equals 0. So the equation of that is going to be y equals 1x plus 0, which is the same thing as y equals x. So whatever x equals, y equals. So we can use these two equations, and we can solve that system. So we have y equals x, and y equals -2x plus 15. So I'm just going to take x and plug it in for y right here, and we'll get x equals -2x plus 15. Add 2x to both sides, get 3x equals 15. Divide by 3, we should get x equals 5. And we know that x is the same thing as y. So that means that your circumcenter is going to be 5, 5. And that is your final answer.